The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Phenomenal Women, featuring in-depth interviews with today's most inspiring women. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Phenomenal Women.
Something familiar.
Yes, yes. That is how we are opening up the show with your song.
Makes you want to dance?
Yes, it does. It does. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm your host, Ashida Onrae, and welcome back to Phenomenal Women. But we have a different show for you today. We have a phenomenal couple that's going to take us on their phenomenal journey on how they started, how they stay together, and how they are celebrating their 45 years of love. We have seven-time Grammy Award winners Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. from the original stars of The Fifth Dimension and solo career of Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. Welcome.
That's a mouthful.
Thank you. Yes, I didn't know if you was going to get all of that.
I got all of it out. I've been practicing. Thank you. Thank you in the booth with my... So welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you guys with me today and with our viewers watching live with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
We're glad to be with you.
Oh,
This
yes.
is
And
great.
yes, I'm so excited because one of my passions is marriage. My passion is music. My passion is love. And I just can't wait to get into this book that you guys written, Up, Up, and Away, which is phenomenal. And I love the way that you guys wrote it because it tells the story from your perspective, Marilyn, and it tells the story from yours as well, Billy. And I think that's amazing. So I'm going to go right into it because we have a lot to cover because your journey is amazing.
Thank you.
So you guys met from with a mutual friend,
Yes.
and tell us about that.
Well, actually, his name is Lamont McLemore, and we grew up together in St. Louis, Missouri. Lamont, Ronald, and myself, and we all kind of migrated to Los Angeles at different times. And I was coming out seeking a recording contract with Motown because I didn't want to go through Detroit because the line was too long.
Right.
So I came to California. Lamont said he knew the president of the Motown on the West Coast. So I said, well, if you can get me an audition, I'll come out and audition. He said, can you sing? I said, well, you let me do that. you
Right.
know. And so I came out and had the audition, and they still had a waiting list, but not as long as the one in Detroit.
Right.
But so while we were waiting, he said, I used to sing with a group called The Vocals, and come to find out that Marilyn was in that group, and I'll let her tell you about that part of it.
Oh, okay. The Vocals was a group that was a jazz group, and Ray Charles, the genius of Mr. Ray Charles, was the manager of the group. He had heard the group sing and liked what we were doing, and he was looking to start up his own management and record company and everything, and so he signed the group to his label, and we ended up going out on the road with him, and that was an amazing experience. That was my first road experience, and wow, what a lesson that was.
Right.
After that tour was over, it was a 3-month tour. After that was over, we came back. I had dropped out of school to go out on that tour. And while I was out there, I saw, well, when I get home, I'm going back to school. I've got 27 units to finish before I graduate, and I'm going back and taking care of it.
Right,
Yes.
because of what you saw, how the backup singers, the women were treated.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, you see that if you don't have preparation in your life for a direction, for a career, for something that you really want to do, then you start behind the 8 ball. And like I said, I had only 27 units before I was going to graduate, so I said, this is crazy. So we got back home. I left the group because I said, you guys, you all aren't quite as passionate about the music as I am. And so...
Move your mic a little closer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the engineers are talking to me. Yeah.
So I don't think it's moving. I'll just move in closer. So I got back home, and when the new semester started, I went back. I was going to UCLA, and I finished up, graduated. I left that group. I said, no more groups. And then here comes Billy and Lamont.
Yeah.
The guys from St. Louis.
Right.
You know, here we come.
Talking about starting another group. And I said, I don't want to do any more group stuff. I love group singing, but you don't find people that are as passionate about their music.
Right.
And Billy said, well, I'm looking for a record deal.
Yeah.
And I want to be a solo artist. He said, so this is truly going to be a hobby. Only
Yes.
a hobby.
That hobby turned out to be history.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
right.
And then, you know, we fast forward a little bit and Up and Away, which didn't reach #1, but you won 5 Grammys.
Well, actually,
Yes.
the group won 4, and then the group won 4 Grammys. Jimmy Webb won the 5th Grammy for his songwriting, and let's see, I think it was also the record of the year.
Yes.
So the producers won the
And
Grammy for
Song
that.
of the Year.
Right.
Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Contemporary Single,
Yes.
Best Performance by a Vocal Group.
That's right,
Who would
yeah.
have thought?
I know.
No,
Right?
right. We were like, wow, what happened? You know.
But at that time, the Grammys were not being broadcast. They were not being on television, so we didn't even know what a Grammy was.
Just go to show you how long ago that was.
Wow.
Yeah.
But everybody in the music business and everybody in the record company was excited, so we were excited. We
Right.
said, well, it means something, so this is
Yeah,
cool.
right.
I love it. I love it. Overnight success, just like that. Would it take us back to what that felt like, where you just had this idea of saying, you know what, we're going to be in this group, we're going to write this song, and it just made you an overnight success. You know, when I'm reading your book, and you guys are touring, you're getting phone calls, you guys are just on the road. Take us through that process of what that is like back then.
Well, you know, it's a great feeling because, you know, when you're a kid and you're seeing all of this show business, you're seeing all this stuff going on, and you know that that's what you want to do. But as soon as you get there, you don't know all of the responsibilities that go with it. You know, you get there, all you think is this lights.
It's party time.
Turn
right.
on the lights and it's going, you know. But it's more than that, yeah.
Actually, it wasn't about the party.
Yeah.
No.
It was about the music.
Yeah.
And we were excited that opportunities were opening up. And we were getting ready to go back to the studio and record the next album. And we were going on television. And we were doing those television shows that we had watched other artists do.
Yeah.
And now we're on there.
Yeah.
And we have friends, you know, sometimes you'd go on and you do the show and then they'd air it later. And you'd be sitting back watching the television performance.
Sitting with your friends
Yes.
and watching yourself on television. And they used to look, it was so funny because they'd be looking at you at the television, and then they'd turn around and look at you.
Right.
It was it was just phenomenal. You know, it was really fun. Yeah.
And you know, I got to tell you, in the beginning, when the group would sing places, we would sing at a club in L.A. And we'd work for the weekend. We all had our day jobs during the week,
Right.
but on the weekends
yeah.
we would work at these clubs, and we wouldn't make enough money to earn any money. We would make enough money to pay our musicians. And now all of a sudden, jobs are coming in. And then our manager tells us, well, it's going to be time for you guys to quit your job so that you can go out and work these gigs. And it's like, you mean we really get to leave the day job and we're going to make enough money that we can pay
Right.
our bills?
Right.
And so then he asked us, he said, well, how much money do you feel like you need to make a week in order to pay your bills? Now, you have to remember this is back in the 60s.
And I was just getting ready to say, I'm going to love this answer because I know the answer, but I can't wait till you share it with the audience, this answer.
And we said, well, if we can make at least $200 a week, we can pay our rent,
Right.
we can pay our phone bill. It's like, wow, can we go back to those days?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that was all right with me because I didn't have no job anyway.
Right.
So anything is good, you know.
I love it. And during this time, you guys were just friends.
Yes.
And you had a great friendship. You guys talk
Yes.
about anything.
Yes.
Spent hours on
Everything.
everything.
We talked about all of it. Yeah, our boyfriends, our girlfriends. We just talked about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could just share my heart with Billy, and I could tell him about these jerky guys that I knew. And Billy would give me a perspective. Well, you know, guys do that because of this and that. And he just was so honest.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is such a cool friendship. That's the way it began.
That's the way it began. That's the way it started.
Yeah.
And then what happened was you guys decided to take a step further and make the relationship a little bit more than just friendship. And then the relationship changed a little bit. That's when the arguments started happening.
Well, that's always the scary part.
Right.
You know, because, you know, all of a sudden when you start to looking at each other in a different light, you know, it's like, oh my God, you know, is she going? What if I make a mistake? What if I blow this? Then I'm gonna lose my friend. You know, all of that's going through your mind.
Yeah.
But you know, I think God had different plans for us. So you know, so here we are.
Yep.
Yeah, still together.
You know, it's an interesting thing that when you're friends, it shows you how you treat your friends differently from your loved ones.
Yeah.
And there's a major lesson there. Because the things that you accept from your friends without question, once you start falling in love and now this person's going to represent you and you're representing him, all of a sudden, well, you shouldn't have said it that way.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, you need to change that outfit and you need to wear a little something more of this. Or, you know, Billy might say, I think that dress is too tight. You need to change it.
Which I've said a few times.
Right.
So, you know, all of a sudden you start, you know, because this is now a reflection of you and who you are.
Who you are, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why the fight started.
Right.
And then the fight started, right?
So now take us through that moment where you say, okay, now we're going to get married. What were you guys thinking back then on going? Because I know when I was reading, it was a journey of you guys dated for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then you said, you know what? Let's think about marriage. But that wasn't something that you were ready to do at that time.
Right.
So take us through that time of dating and transitioning over into marriage.
Well, we were getting along great, even with the fights and the arguments and everything, because, again, we were always very honest with each other, and we always shared whatever was on our hearts with each other, and if one of us didn't like what the other one said, we'd let them know. So then we started talking about getting married, but my parents were divorced.
Yeah.
My godparents were divorced. It seemed like everybody around me was getting a divorce, and I thought, why did we want to mess up a good thing by getting married?
Right.
And then I thought, but Billy has proposed to me, and if I don't say yes, I'm going to lose him because he's going to think that I don't love him. I do love him. I just don't want to mess up our relationship.
Right. And that's normally what the guy says.
Right. But you know, I come from another perspective.
Yeah.
You know, because my parents were married for 68 years. And and all my sisters were married, and you know, I come from a family of marriage, which basically stayed together a long time.
Yeah.
And Marilyn, I had been married once before, so I'd been through it.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I asked Marilyn to marry me, it was just, you know, I didn't want to lose her, you know, but I didn't know how she was thinking until later.
Right.
But then she said yes, and here we are again.
And there's a funny story that I wanted to bring up is that you had a friend that you guys are picking up from the airport. And
Yes. Yes.
Because of the argument. I'm going to let you guys tell the story. Yeah, tell the story because it's hilarious.
His name is Ron Walker.
Yeah.
You know, and Ron was a good friend because when I was going through my divorce, I had to claim a residence in Las Vegas, you know, and his address was my residence, and so I would go and stay with him a few times. Ron was a bartender in Vegas at Caesars at Nero's Nook, so Ron knew us well. When we appeared at Caesars in the Nook, Ron was there. He was one of the bartenders, so we invited him to the wedding, but he knew we argued all the time. And so when we picked him up from the airport, and he was driving home, we were driving back to the house, and we started an argument. And Ron said, "All right, you guys," he said, y'all ought to really cut this out. For God's sake, you're getting ready to get married." And we kept going. He said, if you don't stop this argument, I'm going to go back home. And we just kept arguing. He said, turn the car around and take me back to the airport.
He said, take me back to the airport.
No,
and we stopped arguing. He said, Ron, you're kidding, right? He said,
I mean it right now.
Take me back to the airport now.
So he went back to the airport. We took him back to the airport and he got on the plane and went
he
back
flew
home.
back to Vegas. And he missed our wedding.
Yes. We still friends today. We still see him. We see him.
Do you guys still talk about that story to this day?
Yes.
Oh, well, when our book came out, all of a sudden Ron was famous around
Right.
And, he laughs about that all the time.
I was cracking up reading that because in my mind I was visualizing you guys arguing and then he just like, come on guys, you guys are about to get married.
I know. And then finally he said, all right, that's it.
That's it.
If you don't stop, I'm going back home.
Okay.
And we're thinking, oh, sure he is.
Yeah, right.
He meant it.
Yeah.
So here's a question that I have regarding marriage and arguing. How do you argue a lot but then stay happily married? Because usually when couples, they argue so much and they're miserable, they're unhappy. You guys, I just don't understand how you guys can argue and then still be happily married, because this day and age, we see arguments, they're ready to call it quits.
Yeah, but you got to realize that the argument is just an argument. It doesn't change the person. You know,
it's a difference of opinion.
It's a difference of opinion. Now we can choose to take it farther.
Right.
If we want to, but once that opinion is out there and it dies, you're still dealing with the same person.
Right.
So then if you love that person, there you are.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good lesson.
Yeah, and it was something that we got used to. That always we both knew that we were strong. We had strong personalities and strong opinions, and we always voiced them. There were times when our arguments hurt each other's feelings, and we would come back to that. We'd come back to it and we'd say, we have to work this out.
Yeah, we clean it up.
Another thing that Billy and I don't do, which I think is really important, is we don't walk around not speaking to each other for a week. Like you see some people, some couples, they get mad at each other. They won't talk to each other for a week.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Billy and I, we might be angry with each other for an hour or a couple of hours, and then all of a sudden
after that, we got to talk. Yeah.
What do you want for dinner?
Right.
Grumble.
We don't do the silent treatment.
Right.
The personalities are too big for that. I remember one time when we announced to the group that we were getting married, they looked at us and said, "Oh my God, here goes the group."
Oh, really? Because that was going to be my next question, because I know you guys kept it a secret for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to mess up the dynamics. And so then there was a situation where a young lady was close to your man, and you were like, okay, wait, now this is changing everything. So let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it today.
We don't want to go there.
But at that time, it defined where it was like, you know what?
Where the relationship
we can no longer keep it a secret. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, where now it's, okay, we're in it 100%.
Well, let's just say I had one drink too many.
Well, I didn't want to bring that part yet, but
and I've never been one to be shy and retired.
Right.
And this particular lady decided to sit on my husband's lap too long, and he was not asking her to get up.
Well, it was a secret.
But that's why I wanted to bring it up, right?
But the secret was coming out. And I said to myself, well, there goes the secret.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not a secret anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So then everybody knew at that point. Yeah.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was like, okay, let's get it straight.
Yeah.
It's going to be this way or it's going to be that way.
Right. So then you guys continue to tour, continue to make albums, continue to make music. And then at this time, you guys decided you guys wanted solo careers.
Yeah.
And, then the dynamics of with your singing partners and everything, they were like, wait a minute, we're feeling abandoned. We're feeling like, you guys leave. We've been together for so long.
Yeah.
So take us through that journey on how you guys made that decision together as a couple.
Well, we were, as happens in every career,
Yeah.
you have the highs and then your records aren't selling as well anymore.
Yeah.
And then you start trying to figure out, well, what do we need to do? How do we change this? Do we change the sound? Do we change our direction? Do we keep doing what we've been doing? Because we have an audience out there that's very loyal.
Right.
And then other members of the group, well, I want to do more of this. I want to do more of that.
Yeah.
And all these disagreements happen.
And what I call it is this: the stage gets smaller. You know, because you got 5 people and all of them want, which is normal. All of them want some time in the spotlight. You know.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much in an hour on the show. You know, you can do so much in 90 minutes. You know, but everybody wants their share, and everybody's not as talented as the other people. You know, to carry so much of it, you know, and but I'm not saying that they feel like they are.
Right.
And they have a right to feel that way, you know, but the stage gets smaller.
Can I also add that also we couldn't decide what direction to go in. Did we want to change our musical sound? Because the Fifth Dimension had a very identifiable sound. But Billy and I felt like, well, let's try something new. Let's try not doubling our voices. Let's try, you know, so there was a difference of opinion. And with all of these things coming to a head, we were working on a project. It was called Earthbound. And when we finished in the studio, and Jimmy Webb was producing it, and it was a very exciting project, but there was a lot of disagreement going on. It was a very, very difficult recording for us to do. And when we finished it, and we listened to the finished product, Billy and I felt like, well, we can't go through this again. Because it was too difficult, it was too painful, and we felt like the time had come that we should try another direction for the 2 of us. Yeah. And that was when we decided to leave the group.
Actually, it was hard to listen. I don't think I really basically listened to the project as much as I should have, you know, because of my emotional state, you know. And so I really didn't get a chance to really pay any attention to it till recently.
The interesting thing about Earthbound was that at that time, that was the emotional state we were in. And so, like Billy said, we didn't listen to it and really hear what we had done, the quality of the work that we had done, because we were too caught up in the other things that had been happening. Earthbound has just been re-released as a CD. Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things I had to call Jimmy and congratulate him on what a beautiful job he did with putting that whole project together, because it's really phenomenal, if I have to say so myself.
We listened to it all these years later and realized what an incredible recording it is. And it was a very emotional experience. It's a wonderful, I think it's one of our best works. And we're really excited that it's out there now. All these years later. Billy does some incredible singing on that project, and Jimmy wrote some wonderful music. The whole group did some wonderful singing on it. Really? I'm sorry that we didn't hear it before.
Well, that's it's growth. You know, we grow.
Yes, it is.
And you know, speaking of growth, one of the things that really stood out to me when you guys went to do your solo careers that I think speaks volumes even in today's time with artists who are married. And I'm going to quote from your book, because this resonates with me so well.
We forgot what we said.
And I got it highlighted and everything.
Can I say, wait a minute, I don't think I said that.
Which is so important, because during this time, you guys were thinking about being solo, you doing something solo, and you doing separately, not together. And so you said we were ready to be up, and on our way. But then we started to rethink this direction. Separate singing careers meant separate tours. We could go for months without seeing each other. What would happen to our relationship if I got a hit and Billy didn't? How would I react if my songs fizzled and Billy's hit record put him on the cover of People magazine with the headline, Pop's latest sex symbol. Something like that could mess up a marriage. And
That's
you
true.
guys decided to take the journey together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's so important, especially in today's time, because you have the husband on one, you have the wife on another, and they're separate, they're far apart, and the relationship fizzle. I think this is an extremely important quote in
Yes.
this book on 45 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, we finally had to decide what was most important.
Yeah.
Was our marriage most important,
Yeah.
or were our careers more important than our marriage? And
Yeah.
it was in that decision
Yeah.
that we decided that it was most important that the two of us be together.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know, not only was our marriage a covenant, our friendship was great. You know,
Yeah.
and something like that could break up your friendship. And we didn't want that, because our friendship is most important to us even today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just touched me when I read that. And I said, oh, I have to bring this up. I love it so much.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, because today, with a lot of the experiences that our young people have, they don't see strong commitments to relationships.
Exactly.
And yet they look at us and they want to know how we do it. But they don't understand the inner workings that bring you to this point.
Yeah.
And the things that you have to give up, you know, the things that you have to be willing to give up because your marriage is most important.
Well, how do you think, or what would be your advice to married couples now who are in the entertainment industry on how to handle, because, you know, back then it's different, and now, you know, you have your publicist pulling you in one way and your fans pulling you in another way.
Yes.
And then you're driven because you don't want to give up your career, but yet you're married. So how do you handle that, speaking from experience, that you can give advice to today's young generation that are married, trying to make it?
Well, one of the things is one of the things we've been talking about is friendship. You know, that's most important in friendship. And then a lot of times we go into a relationship, we're not grounded.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
You know, and our spiritual life is very important to us. And so we feel like we're pretty grounded in our spiritual walk with the Lord. You know, so that's very
That helps.
important
Oh,
to our
that helps.
relationship.
Yeah.
So it helps to
Absolutely.
keep us grounded
Yeah.
with one another. So
And you have to realize that the way that our business works, if you are successful for 5 years or 10 years, I mean, you know, at the height, that's an incredible gift. And every career is going to go up and down.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the business that we're in. And so you have to realize that things will change. And do you want to live your life without your partner?
Yeah.
Or do you want your partner to be there? Because when you have those special moments, you want to have that special person to share those moments with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And when you have down times, you need that special person to be there to help
That's
support
right.
you. And you want to have somebody who loves you when you look great.
Right.
And when
loves
you don't look
when
great.
you're not looking pretty
Right,
great.
right. And speaking of those high moments, you guys had a breakout hit when you guys came together.
Yes.
And that, again, I mean, not up in a way.
yeah.
You don't have to be a star, which is what I
Right.
played
Right.
Yeah,
when the
right.
show opened up.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that came about quickly for us, for our viewers. You Don't Have to Be a Star. It's one of my favorite songs. I love.
Yeah.
Well, we were working separately
Yeah.
with different producers. That was when we were still in the process of trying to make up our minds about were we going to work together or separately. And then we went to our the president of our record company, Jerry Rubenstein, was the president of ABC Records at the time, and it was ABC.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was ABC. You're right.
And we said, you know, we're sorry, you know, we've been in the studio and doing these individual projects, but we really feel like we need to work together. And Jerry was cool with that, and he said, okay, fine. And so we went back into the studio, and Don Davis, who had been cutting some sides with me, they chose him to be the producer that would work with us on our new duet project. And Don Davis, who just recently passed away, what a
yes,
wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful
yeah.
producer he was. He found You Don't Have to Be a Star, from a couple of writers in Detroit. And he brought the song to us, and he said, I think I have the hit for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, quite naturally, he was right, because, you know, a lot of times the producers, they can feel it. They can feel the hit, where the artists, you know, we just sing it. We just, you know, hey, it sounds, all of them sound like hits to us, you know, but he was right, and it was a #1 record.
And what's so amazing about the songs written back then, it's 2014 and they're still playing it.
Which is amazing.
That's music. That is, you know, real good music. And even at my generation, my age and younger, we're still listening to it. We're still bobbing to it. We're still dancing to it. We say, oh, yes, I remember that song. Yes, I love that song. My mom was like, oh, that was my song. I remember.
And that's so
important.
Wonderful.
Yes,
that is truly a gift.
Yes, that is it's exceptional, and we just we love it. We love that song. I love listening to it, and then the lyrics back then.
Yes.
You know, and the smoothness of your voice, and it's everything. It's everything. Yeah. So during this time, you guys are married. You have a hit. And then there's a little bit of a shift, because then you're starting to feel something with your faith and like a loss within your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And take us through that time and how you came out of it. And I have a surprise for you that I want to, a clip that I want to show you guys. Yes. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
May I just mention that we were so thrilled that You Don't Have to Be a Star made it possible for us to have a summer television show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
On CBS. And I think we were the first African-American couple to end up having
a television
show that we hosted, and it was named for us. It didn't last a long time. It was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah. And Solid Gold.
Oh, yes. Solid Gold,
yeah, you were the host of
right.
The host of Solid Gold.
Which was great, too, because it gave us, I mean, she was visible constantly, and it gave me a chance to be on and off that show quite a bit, you know.
Yeah.
But so after the television show happened, and we went out and we continued to perform, and we released some more albums, but we didn't have anything nearly as big as You Don't Have to Be a Star.
Yeah.
And so now we're taking a look at our lives and saying, okay, now what? And I began to realize that that I had accomplished so many of the dreams that I had had since I was a little girl. You know, being successful, you know, with the Fifth Dimension, and being successful with my husband, and we had a TV show. And I felt like, well, you've accomplished your dreams. But I felt kind of empty. I felt like something in my life was missing, and I thought that something was wrong with me. Because if you've done all these things, how could you feel like something is missing? And that was when I began to realize that in my spiritual life, something was missing. And I started to call it a void. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine one day, Bunny Wilson, and she said to me, Marilyn, if you ever feel like there's a void in your life, and I'm saying, how does she know what I'm feeling? I haven't told anybody this, you know. And she said, that's the Lord telling you that you need him. And she had tried to talk to me about God and Jesus and all that before, and I used to say, thanks, but no thanks. You know, well, go. But this time, on this particular evening, she said the words right at the right time that just really got me. And I said, well, tell me a little bit more about that. And she started talking to me about the Bible and about Jesus and why he came. And I started reading the Bible. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would read the Gospels, and she and I would argue, because I'd say, well, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. I'm going to argue with the Bible. I can argue with anybody.
She didn't have me to argue with them. She was arguing with the Bible.
But anyway, I ended up praying to receive Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and it just completed me. It filled that emptiness that I had been experiencing, and so it was a very important moment in my life.
That's amazing. And the reason why it stood out to me is because Jesus at the Roxy.
Yes.
And I want to play this clip because I had a very special guest here a couple of months ago talk about Jesus at the Roxy.
Is that right?
These are the terms, and he said yes. And so we went into the Roxy and we did Jesus at the Roxy, and I will never forget that day because, wow. Because when we, it rained. What's the guy? It never rains in Southern California.
It rained that night.
It rained that day.
It sure did.
It poured down rain that day. And so I was thinking, oh God, nobody's going to come. It's going to be Philip and his family, me and my family, Jerry Peters, this is going to be the artists, And when I turned around Sunset, when Sunset curves and then you turn around, there was a line going down the street of umbrellas of people standing to get into Jesus at the Roxy. And I'm telling you, it was that night we had a pastor there and he did an invitation and 300 people decided they wanted to give their life to the Lord. That was the miracle. Because we didn't know what was going to happen. We just said,
Cut up.
Isn't that's phenomenal.
And we were two of those people that night. Billy stood up to receive the Lord.
I rededicated my life that night back to the Lord because I grew up in church. And I had strayed away. You've heard the stories over and over. You grew up in church and you stray away because I'm fulfilling my career. My career is out here. And it doesn't include the Lord. A lot of people don't know that they can still have a career and still be with the Lord.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I could not wait to show you guys
that
clip because she got so emotional talking about it.
Yes, right. And it was raining. I mean, it was really raining.
Oh boy, do we remember that night? Yes.
And you know what? I due to time, it's just we can't talk about everything, and I really want to get to what you guys are doing today. But I just want to just to recap on what an amazing journey you've had from the moment that you guys met up until this moment you're sitting here on Phenomenal Women, which could be phenomenal couples, And, just to recap quickly about what's going on today, you guys are getting ready to go on tour on the Soul Train. You guys are still working.
We're looking forward to that.
The Soul
it
Train
should be
crew.
fun.
That's going to be, I think, in February of 2015. And there's going to be a lot of friends on that tour. Oh, it's going to be a ball. We're going to have such a good time.
Soul Train crew, the Soul Train crew. You have KC Sunshine Band, the Spinners, Regina Bell, Stylistics,
and don't forget Gladys
Knight.
James Ingram.
Frankie Beverly and May.
I
love it. And then also too, something that's happening next week is that you're at the Catalina Jazz.
Which we always enjoy playing. This will be our 4th time there, and we love playing there because people come, they want to hear our hits, of course, and we do sing the hits because people expect to hear them when they come see us. But also we get a chance to explore our musical backgrounds.
That's right.
Billy does some blues, and we sing some jazz together, like throwback to the vocals days.
I'm not talking about just R&B blues. I'm talking about some down home blues.
Right. He's talking about some of that St. Louis blues.
Right. We get down, but hey, it's where we come from,
Absolutely.
And it's a part of our lives, so we get a chance to showcase that and experience it.
Incredible journey.
And I mean, our lives are about music. And at the Catalina Jazz Club, you get to just explore the musical things that you love. And we always have something new for them, and it's performing at home.
Yes,
so that's great.
I'm so happy that you guys were with us today. Thank you so much for being with
Are
us
we
today.
Finished?
Thanks for having us.
I know.
We got so much.
You guys have to come back.
We just got halfway through the book.
I know. Could you believe that it's been almost 40 minutes? But
That's
really
amazing.
quickly, Up and Away. This is an amazing book, an amazing journey. I read it. It was phenomenal. And thank you guys so much for bringing us into your lives with this book. it taught me so much. And it taught me about marriage, commitment, the journey that you guys took through the music, how you guys met, and how you guys stayed together. Congratulations on 45 years of marriage and still rocking and playing in venues, and, you know, and your songs are still on the radio. You can find them on Twitter at, you know, McCoo Davis. Yes, McCoo
right.
Davis on Twitter. And then where can they find you on the website so they can purchase your book as well?
McCooDavis.com.
McCooDavis.
Try to keep it simple.
Try to keep it simple, okay?
Right.
Thank you again for being with me and the live audience. And thank you guys so much for being with me, you know, watching live. I'm your host, Ashida Onrae, and I look forward to inspiring you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.